You said you had been doing the same thing over and over and over and over. The thing that opened up a lot for me was watching other people live and have a really good life and not work as much as me. But to do that, you've got to go through a lot of change. And that change is really uncomfortable. You've got a business that's grown a lot. You've got a team that's grown a lot. What kind of changes do you go through? And then how do you think about change more holistically?
You don't have to look at climbing Mount Everest. Start small, start building momentum. I'm a momentum person. So I'm going to start off with like a little hike and just build on that, build that repetition, build that mindset, and then go a little bit bigger and go a little bit bigger. You're not trying to accomplish the Mona Lisa overnight, but doing those baby steps, just building momentum towards that, and getting me on the right path and reinforcing those behaviors. That is so important,
So I got to chat with your group. Now you get to chat with ours, with the Get Out of Your Own Way community. Gary, I think the idea of getting out of your own way is something that has to happen when you're building a business. Before we even get to that, though, I'm just curious, what does it mean to you to get out of your own way? Like, what do you think about when you hear that?
Well, I think, when you're growing a business, it can't be all you, first of all. And so more of working on your business versus in your business is one of my a big thing. And two, all the BS, all the stuff that you've carried from other relationships or other businesses, whatever it is, can let you affect this business as well. So having that growth mindset is everything, and will lead you to success and hopefully getting out of your own way.
Yeah, I really appreciate the comment about like your old relationships, your old history, your old businesses. Like it can't stop you. You've got a business that was ranked 25th fastest growing company. That's super cool. You've also had just a lot of support from the AAOA that rated you the #1 syndicate. Like these are great staples, but they don't tell you like the story on the inside, right? If you're building something and getting accolades, does it ever feel like you have two lives? Like you have the one that everyone thinks like, oh, it's perfect, you're rated great, and everything's got to be awesome in Gary land. And then on the flip side, it's actually really difficult.
Oh, absolutely. And it's a bit, an iceberg theory where they only see the tip, they don't see the struggles of before the business or my other businesses that laid the foundation to my success. All of the struggles, all the failures. If you haven't failed enough, then you can't succeed to a certain extent as well. You need those setbacks. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, what you put on social media and we talk about, looking at, 100, 200 deals to find one deal or whatnot. But, people see the bullet points, the highlights, and don't listen to or not necessarily get to see, all of the struggles that go into it. Yeah.
When you started business, did you go into it because you loved what you did or because it gave you the lifestyle that you wanted?
No, it's part lifestyle by design, but I've got to be passionate about the work. And that drives everything. I had a college professor that taught entrepreneurship, and she talked about the passion piece. And as a 21-year-old, I'm like, I just want to make money. Like I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30, and I quickly learned that you got to be passionate about it. Particularly me, like I never really worked for anyone else, and if I'm not passionate, I'm not going to put in the work. I'm not going to. It is going to be work for me versus like, hey, I'm working. Most days, pretty much 7 days a week, but it doesn't have to be, a full day or whatnot, and long hours at times. But because I love what I do, it doesn't, I feel like I have a very good life, a very well balanced life because I'm able to fit in some other things and it's just, it's not a drag, it's really cool what we're doing. So, that's really important to me.
I'd say that all of our clients are business owners in some capacity, though that sometimes means we coach their team or their number twos, et cetera. And one of the patterns I've noticed is that we defer focusing on lifestyle, and then we defer it, and then we defer it, and then we defer it. Like there's kind of ongoing challenge where no matter how successful we get, we are very good at moving the goalposts. Like we're so good at just saying like, well, the next target, I'll rest when I get there. I got to sit down with you in California where we just had a lunch. And one of the things I noticed was that you didn't feel very rushed. So as much as we've talked about you playing volleyball and having all these passions and focusing on being a dad, like some of these other things, relationships, the like excitement of life seems to be really, I don't know if the word is balanced, but it's like integrated into your world. What did you have to say no to make lifestyle a priority?
Yeah, I think integrated is a good word. I think people want to see balance, and over time it's balanced, but it's never perfect. And so what I had to say no is the stuff that's not going to move my life or my business forward. So yeah, I do watch some Netflix here and there, but it's not every night. It's not for hours long. I schedule my workouts in, and I do them no matter what. If I'm out late, that's my choice. I wanted to stay out late, but I better be, I love, the playing the basketball, playing volleyball. So I'm going to make it a priority. If I'm exhausted, I'll take a nap, and then I know it's time to work. It's not time to goof off. I can't hang out with friends. There's plenty of time to do everything that I want to do, work hard, play sports, hang out with my kids. It's just, I've got to know my schedule and I've got to plan it out. And then I can, it's not every week's going to be perfect, but I can, over the course of a month or 2 months or 3 months, I'll get what I want to do out of that time period.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that most of us are like wizards with the calendar. And even if you're really good with a calendar, you still have to be really good at saying no. What has your journey been with saying no? Were you always good at it since entrepreneurship class in college, or has that been a skill that you've built? Because I think it's the door, right? If you want to grow, like you got to say no.
Yeah, I think I've had that kind of discipline that to put in the work to kind of like, I wasn't the kid that like would eat the marshmallow right away. I can wait. I can put in the work. I'm disciplined enough to not have to have the immediate satisfaction. So I feel like I've been pretty good about that my whole life, building towards the future. And so for me, it's like, okay, like have a little bit more fun. Don't say no to things. Say yes to things, as far as like a cool opportunity or something. And just find the way to get that work done, and so that for, which is rare, it's me almost the opposite for me is like, make sure I have those fun times and those unique times, and don't be too focused on work.
Yeah. I think that's probably true with anyone that's listening, right? We're more likely to overwork than underwork. And having just gone through a little bit of this, there was a week or two where I probably only worked 20 or 30 hours. And even though it was awesome, I have been giving myself grief the entire time. It's just kind of worked into our wiring. If you don't know about the marshmallow test, they gave kids, I don't know, a couple marshmallows, and it's such a good reference, Gary. This was in like 1972, and what they did is they gave them the option to eat them, or after a certain amount of time, they would get more. And they used the study to figure out if kids would be successful later in life, or it was a predictor. So they said. And it was just an interesting thing on delayed gratification and immediate gratification. I think that entrepreneurs are really good at delayed gratification. And I think that I am too. I actually get more hung up on, like, is this the right time to stop and pause and be gratified? Did you ever struggle with that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. I'm not alone.
Yeah. I take this from Jesse Itzler, who's like, putting those days in for vacation or whatever, because you'll never get them back. The time with your kids, I forget what they say. It's like 70% of your time, up until high school, you spend that 70% of the time, up until they graduate high school, and you never get that back. And so put it in your calendar, and work will always be there. So do the things that you want to do, because otherwise they won't ever get done.
Okay. So here's language that I know entrepreneurs deal with that maybe you can help us resolve. Work will always be there, right? And especially if we're passionate about what we do, even if the business is in hardship, it will still be there. The good things will be there. The bad things will be there. It's all going to be there. But we get in these moments where we tell ourselves it won't be, right? They're like, we got to make this happen, or like, it'll never happen again. Or, if I don't go to this meeting, like, it's the end of the world, the sky is falling. How do you navigate that narrative that goes in your head where the opportunity is actually not to work, but you have to say no to something that is work related?
Yeah, I think it's a part of building your team, and so what is your hourly rate? Okay. So let's say it's $500 an hour. Okay. Is this a $500 task for me or not? And I'm not perfect by any stretch of the means, but it's like, what are the things I need to pass off to my team and let them handle it? Okay. Are they going to do it as good as me? Probably not. Maybe some things absolutely, but some things maybe not. And I have to be okay with that, knowing that I only have X amount of time. And in order to live the life I want to lead, and to build that life I want to lead, is by relying on my team to handle those things. And it's just got to be, like you said, either I say no to it or I say yeah to it, whatever it is. But if I'm trying to do everything, it's not, I'm not going to get there.
So I want to go down this path in two ways. One, the work way, because I think there's a relevant conversation there. But I also get curious about this with kids. Like, I'm a relatively new dad, and if I say that my hourly rate is $500 an hour, like, how the hell do I measure what an hour is with him, or how do I? It becomes hard to compete, right? And the calculation in work is actually very logical and sort of organized in a way that makes it sensible. But when you start getting into that qualification and quantification with like people and travel and adventure and learning, like all these things, it gets really, really wonky. Like, how do you bring that same kind of thought into the personal world where, like, volleyball doesn't have an ROI, but I was a volleyball player for a long time, soccer player even longer. I know what that does for me. That almost is like charging up the battery, and I'm ready to rip it the next day. So, but how do you think about it?
Yeah, you're right. There, like, obviously with your kids and family, like, there is no, you can't put a number on it. You have to almost say it's priceless. Okay, so you start from that framework, and then your own activities, you do have to build in some number, some balance, where you're going to say, I'm going to do this no matter what. It's my health is wealth, like, if things are getting in my way from eating right and from taking care of my body, I know these things will, even if you say it's a $25 return, whatever, health is such a huge return on your investment. It clears my mind. I could think. I get any like aggression out, whatever it is. Like, I'm going to be better at my job. So that's kind of the mindset that I take, and knowing, like, I need those things, those activities to make me a better um, a better business owner, a better father, a better partner because of the time I take for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I really resonate with that, man. I also very much agree with health is wealth. And, and that's the entire circle of health, right? Mental health, emotional health, physical health, like that changes the game. I've watched, I think one of the most frustrating things to watch is someone that is successful that clearly has neglected their health for so long that they don't believe they can get back. And part of that is just from a stamina perspective, like you got to be able to run in business. You got to be able to stay up late nights sometimes or push through long meetings or go through 8-hour days where you are in high demand for those periods. And it breaks my heart when someone has let go of their health to the extent that like they no longer prioritize it. They don't worry about their mental health. They just like keep pushing. I've had seasons where my like desire and need and like the burn on me was so intense, but I kept telling myself the story of like, you just got to get through this. And every entrepreneur understands that. What have been some of those moments for you though, where like you've lost a little bit of, I'm going to take care of me. What was your indicator that you were like, okay, I got to get back. And then what did you do to get back?
Yeah. So when I went all in on my business, this was during COVID. Everyone's, I don't know, chilling out, baking bread, whatever. I mean, we were just grinding 7 days a week. And I was quite honestly a bit jealous of everyone, like kind of mailing it in, but it was great for my business. And I was seriously getting burnt out. And a partner and I just kind of decided to split ways, and it was very scary, that transition, but it was the best for my mental health, quite honestly, that I could just take a step back, breathe for a moment, plan it out, and not have a partner that, nothing against him. We just weren't aligned on things. He was in a different stage of his life. And so it was all for the best. I just had to get through the darkness, and, I just, kind of, rebalanced and what was more, what was important, doing more health, things for myself, getting outside. I was able to take that time once we split.
So that was a weird time to try to rebuild your mental health too, right? The world I love how you were like, people were baking bread. Yeah, man, people picked up hobbies. As a business owner, I also was in panic mode and rebuild mode. And I wasn't baking bread. I was freaking out. I was working hard. It was, oh man, that period was nuts. But if that was your darkness, like what was it that told you, okay, I've got to get back to, taking care of myself. I've got to get back to prioritizing this. Like what signaled I've gone too far down the rabbit hole?
My production just wasn't good. Like I wasn't, it would take me longer to get through tasks because I wasn't as motivated. I wasn't thinking clearly. I wasn't feeling good. And so it was affecting my work, and it was obvious. And once I was able to, make it through that, then my productivity went up quite a bit, and I was aligned, and everything started clicking more after that because my body was pushing back on me. My mind was pushing back on me. And when you get alignment, then things start falling into place and going your way,
Yeah, dude. Okay. So you said the word alignment a couple times. The way I think of alignment is when your values match up with your goals and your future. How do you think of alignment? Like when you say like, when you're aligned, you start going faster. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I wanted to get more support for our team, and my business partner wanted to save money, and he wanted to just keep working. And I'm like, you're, much younger than me, and I had a little bit more cash. I wanted to build a team, and so we were in alignment there. Also, health wise, like I didn't want to work 7 days a week, or I wanted to not have to respond within like 5 minutes on every text or email.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that time of business sucks.
Yeah. So just giving me that air, it just took a weight off my back. And again, no disrespect to that person. But it just didn't match what I wanted, to my life to look like at that period. And so once I was true to myself and was able to fit in more of that time to go on a hike if I wanted to, play volleyball if I wanted to. And I'm not saying this is during the day. I mean, I'll play volleyball at 6:45 and be at my desk by 8:45 in the morning, or go on a hike on the weekend. But my output, as soon as I was able to do more of this stuff, my output improved. So I was more effective in less hours than I was in more hours, and I was happier, and I was making better decisions. So, if you can be in alignment, it's not about quantity, it's about quality,
Dude. Oh, okay. I want to dig on this because I think this shift is starting to happen slower and slower for people. And I know that a lot of our listeners are stuck in this. When you're in growth mode, or like you're just starting, you got to put in time. But then the addiction starts to hit, and then you start to buy into this belief that if you just put in more time, it will go faster. And dude, I have found myself lost in this terrain where I'm like, I've just got to work more. I've just got to work more. I've just got to work more. And suddenly 40 becomes 50, 50 becomes 60, 60 becomes 70, 70 hours a week. Dude, it drives me nuts that people are like, I work 90 hours a week. Like, that's very difficult to do. But even if you're working like 60, 70, that's a long week. It's a very, very long week. At some point, we have to break the spell and recognize that if you work 40 shitty hours, you're just working shitty hours. It doesn't matter how many you do. If you work 70 shitty hours, it's still shitty hours. Eventually, there has to be this like, what matters, what drives the business. But I actually think it takes a long time to get to a place where you've like suffered enough to stop and pause, where you are reflective enough to say what's working, what's not. Was there like a moment for you where you were like, okay, if I work 35 hours a week and they're great 35 hours, the business goes 1,000 miles an hour, or I can just work 70 and go nowhere? Like, was there a big epiphany, or was that over time? Like, how did you get there?
Making the same mistake over and over a bunch of times, for years on different businesses. That was, that was, one thing. And then being around people that invest in themselves and invest in their business, and learning from them, and just reinforcing good habits, and realizing, my bad habits as well. So that helps, just not living in that silo of my business and just talking to other business owners. Also helps me realize too, because it eventually got to a place where you're pounding on your chest and saying, look, I work 70 hours. I'm a great worker, versus, hey, I'm really smart about my business. I only work 35 hours and I'm kicking butt, so I want to be on that team. I don't want to be on the, hey, I work 70 hours team,
Yeah. I think athletics really messed me up in this way. Like, athletics requires a lot of time on task, and in college and any pursuit, even as a kid, even beyond college, what was often like, it was about the hours, because as an athlete, you got to have time on the ball. But in reality, right, we think an athlete works like is practicing 8 hours a day. They're not, you can't train your body really aggressively like that. But athletics kind of taught me, if it is painful, it's good. And I think translating that into business is just a warped idea. This whole like no pain, no gain, like I'm out. I'm unsubscribing from no pain, no gain, because I think that you can gain and not suffer. You can actually have a really good life where you're not suffering, you're not drowning every day. Like I believe that, but athletics doesn't necessarily teach us that. You said you had been doing the same thing over and over and over and over, which you and I must be brothers in some ways. The thing that opened up a lot for me was watching other people live and have a really good life and not work as much as me. You mentioned that too, that there's, modeling that we can look at. But to do that, you've got to go through a lot of change. You almost have to confront yourself and be like, dude, what are you doing? Hey, this has got to stop. And that change is really uncomfortable. I think that we could all stand and learn from you in explaining like how you embrace change, because once you start embracing change, you kind of get like a skill for it. But I do think it takes time. You've got a business that's grown a lot. You've got a team that's grown a lot. You've got a life that many would be like, hey man, like that is a beautiful, beautiful life. What kind of changes do you go through? And then how do you think about change more holistically?
So, you don't have to look at, climbing Mount Everest, like start small with, start building momentum. I'm a momentum person. And when we talk about sports, it's a lot of it's about momentum. Okay. So I'm going to start off with like a little hike or a little task and just build on that, build that repetition, build that mindset, and then go a little bit bigger and go a little bit bigger. And you could set a lofty goal and then kind of work backwards, but you're not trying to accomplish, the Mona Lisa overnight. It's like, it's over time. And certainly I'm a guy who's patience is not one of my strong suits. But doing those baby steps, just building momentum towards that, and getting me on the right path and reinforcing those behaviors, that is so important,
Yeah. It almost sounds like the marshmallow thing again, right? Like if we're rushing, that's probably the problem, right? It's like you want to get it now, so you try to control everything and fight, and that never works. I also hear this idea of like having a long-term goal. Was it ever your goal to have like, are these awards why you build your business?
No, it's not. It's not the awards. It's having the lifestyle that I want, doing something that's rewarding, that I'm really passionate about. The rewards, they're nice to have, but that's not why I do the work. I want to provide for my family, do the things that I want to do the things when I want to do it. That's really the goal in mind. And feeling like I've accomplished, that's an inner feeling that nothing exterior wise can create that for me. I've got to feel good about myself, feel loved, feel like, I've achieved it. I've earned it. Though no one could give me that,
Yes. Yeah. I love those. There's a question that floats around in entrepreneurship that I'm curious to hear your take on. What I'm hearing is that you've got a lifestyle that feels aligned with you. You've got a business that you're passionate about. So then what's enough?
That's a good question. And I've gotten asked that, and I've had some friends retire recently too. Some a little bit younger than me, some a little bit older. And, I think to myself, like, I don't have a desire to ever retire. Not that I need to keep working, but it's like, I love thinking and growing and learning and being productive and doing something of value. So then we get back into that integration or that balance of like, family time and doing really cool stuff and, just having a great team. And so that I'm not racing to earn a certain amount or whatnot. I'm in it for the long haul. and I'll ride the waves, because there are, in any career that you pick, there's up and down cycles, and just be patient, which is hard for me, but like just keep growing and keep doing what I'm doing, and and have fun with it, as much fun as I can, you know.
Hmm. I was at an event with Cody Sanchez. She was speaking and she said, you don't retire from a life you love. And there's a lot of wisdom in a quote like that. I'm aligned with it in so many ways. Where ideally, you don't need to retire, right? Retire feels like I need an out. And if you build it the right way, you probably don't need that. I also think that in order to build like that, you have to build very different. You have to think very different about what you're building. You hire a little bit different. You delegate different. Like there's just a lot that goes into, can I build a life, not just a business? If someone is stuck in the, I've only built a business, like I don't have the integration, I don't have balance, my health is not great. What advice would you give them to help them have a more, like a longer term vision for what their business could be, so that they can learn from what you've been through?
First, you've got to envision what the perfect life is to you. Once you have that vision, then you can work towards it. If you don't have that, you're not working towards anything. You're just going through the motions. So once you have that vision, then you could start taking action. Okay. And I would think having the right people on your team is where you start. Because if you have the right team, then you can work on your business and work on yourself, and not work in the business. And start moving the ball in the right direction. You know, you don't have to do a 360, a 180 degree change overnight. And most people fail that way if you're just doing something so severe, like when they go on these mass diets, massive, I want to lose all these pounds right away. It's like, it's lifestyle, that's how you got to look at it. And so start integrating little changes, start talking to people about what you want, what you're striving for, put it out there in the world. So one, they can help you achieve what you want to achieve, because you never know when the next person say, hey, you're saying you need a CFO. I've got a great person for you. That happens more often than not by just putting it out there in the world, what you're looking for, what you're needing. And eventually having that vision and keep working towards it, and take stock of that, whether it's on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, certainly on a quarterly basis. Are you moving in the right direction? Okay. As long as you keep moving in that right direction of that perfect world, then you're going to get there, so, but you got to have that vision.
Well, I want to dig in on vision a little bit too, because there's so much there. I joke about this, but a lot of truth is said in jest. Like, I've never heard of anybody doing 76 hard, right? You do 75 hard, and it's like, I need to exit. I need to retire. I'm gonna retire from this lifestyle. So I really like and appreciate the idea there. Vision is hard for people, and it's a topic that comes up all the time. I'd actually say it's one of the central spinal columns of our work, is helping people dial in the next level of their vision. One thing I have seen happen over and over and over is you get to a certain level, your business is successful, you've got money coming in, you've got the things, right? Optics are present. So everyone sort of holds you in high regard and you've developed some status. But at that point, you kind of don't have a vision anymore. Like, the vision was to get there. And now you're in this place of like, what's next? And I'm not sure what I want. And, I'm just figuring it out. And that's a really good place to be, but it can also be absolutely overwhelming, where you no longer have a tether. You don't have a direction. You're just like a boat in the wind, hoping that you find a port. But the idea of clarity is also sometimes spread in the personal development world. Like, you either have it or you don't. There's not like a process. How do you keep making sure that you have clarity? Like, what's your process to make sure you don't like run out of vision?
So that's a good question, because sometimes I wonder, like, when people are like, what's your 5-year, 10-year vision? I go, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Like, I feel pretty good of where I am. but is it 100% crystal clear? No, I guess that's my gray area. That's where I'm not so sure. It's not crystal clear. Certainly less hours, more vacation time, more doing what I want to do. But you have to spend the time to really think about what's working in your life, what's not working in your life. And the life, I'm saying everything, all your relationships, work. Where do I need to cut back on? Where do I need to add more time to? So you've got to take stock, and you've got to have that time to really think about it, and I think a lot of people don't take that time to really delve into that.
I get stuck, and look, we've got a really good process for helping people get clear on vision. And even I get stuck. Like, I think it's a human problem, but I get stuck thinking or telling myself that, like, yeah, let me take this little break. I'm going to go to the woods for a weekend and I'm going to work on my vision. Then I get to the woods and I'm like, I don't want to think about that right now. I'm just going to enjoy being in the woods. And it's an uncomfortable process, right? To go through getting clear and go through building a vision. I do think is uncomfortable because the next level vision is going to require you to cut something that you currently have, right? It's change. And I don't know, I get a little frustrated with the conversation about like building a vision to be exciting. Like, I actually think that a vision is really about criteria. Like, this is how you know what to say yes to and what to say no to. And the tiger that like always seems to rear its ugly face is you're actually not working on your vision anymore. What do you say to someone that is not working on their vision, but they're afraid? Because there is a lot of fear around the next level. There's change. There's like new circumstances. I'm going to have new skills, new networks. There's a lot that goes into it. But what do you say to someone that's listening that's like, I know I need to work on this and I know I want to break through the next level, but I'm really just afraid of what it looks like up there?
Well, my question would then be, well, if you don't do this, if you don't make the leap, how is that going to negatively affect you? Like you want to put them in the pain piece of it. Like what are you going to miss out on?
I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. The way that we define clarity is the removal of undesirable options, right? You get more clear by taking stuff out, not by adding, but by taking stuff away. In the last couple of years, what are some of the things you've had to say, like, you know what, I'm ready to let this go as I climb higher and higher?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's for me, the people that you spend time with, are they wanting to grow? Are they helping you to grow? Or are they bringing you down? Are you just, is there nothing fulfilling of spending time with those people? Which is fine. There's plenty of people that don't have that growth mindset. And, maybe it's just, they're in one small piece of my life. Like I'll play a sport with them, but that's it. So it's it's all about relationships and the people that you surround yourself with. And, obviously everyone who was listening knows a saying, you're the average of the 5 people that are closest to you, so pick those 5 people, very carefully.
Mm. Yeah. I do think selection of those people is important. How do you cut people out? If they don't make the top 5, are you just distancing slow?
No, I mean, anyone that's negative in my life, then yes. But if they're not negative, they just have that place of where, hey, all I'm going to do is just, whether it's play basketball with you or whatever it is, that's, you're not seeping into my social circle or, or other facets of my life. If you're just, bringing me down or, it's not like I have to extract value from everyone, but is it like, are you creating more of a weight for me versus just neutral or, hey, we have fun at this one thing and then that's great. But, it's not like I have to extract value from everyone, but I also want to make sure I'm providing value for others. But are you aligned with me? wanting the same things out of life, and I guess it starts with one. Are you a good human being? Something simple like that.
Yeah, the sports is, I think, a great example of that, because in sports, depending on, I guess, how you got on this team or found the team, you're just kind of put together with random people, or you meet them through like pickup, and all of a sudden, everyone's like, "Hey, let's go out for a beer." 4 hours goes by. Then the next week, "Hey, let's go for a beer." And all of a sudden, you're kind of in this nucleus of a pattern that you may or may not want. And I think those are great examples of how it happens elsewhere, just not as organized often. I feel there are often cuts necessary at every stage. And I like your point about, like, if they're negative, cut it. If not, evaluate it. There's also this challenge of, like, when the fuck does anybody have time? Like, if you are really narrow, right? If you are really focused, this year I've been the most focused I've ever been. 3 priorities, and that's it. And one of them has been mental health, emotional health, physical health, like just health in general. The other has been my son. The other has been business. That's it. So I've struggled with, how do I make time to like build the network and recruit on my top 5 when I'm also really, really focused. What would you do if you were rebuilding your top 5?
Well, you got to put yourself out there and get and network, because there's so much value in that. It'll help you grow your business. It'll help you find the right people. And the older you get, it's a little harder, but finding the right groups, has been profoundly, worthwhile for me, so I'm very thankful for a group that I joined, probably almost like a year and a half ago. It's like, guys that will, like, at a drop of a hat, to help me out in any way possible, use their network, whatever it is, and vice versa. And I mean, there are people that I've known for 20 years, 30 years that just wouldn't do that at all, and that I've known them for such a long time. So just be around the right people, and if you're not, keep trying different groups, because there are people out there that will improve your top 5. So you just being in a silo, which I've done in the past at times, being a little bit of an introvert, is not going to get me to where I want to get to.
Did you have to fight hard to get more extroverted?
Yeah, more comfortable. And I know, like, whenever I join a new group, I might be a little quieter in the beginning, then, or get more comfortable, and so again, it's those baby steps. Like, let me get to be in the room. Okay, let me talk to a few people. The next time I'll talk to a few more people, and just build those relationships. I don't need to be friends with everyone. Focus on a few people, and I'd rather go deeper than wide.
And yeah, which is what we talked about with health, and it's what we talked about with business, right? Just more focused, more concentration, less quantity, more quality. Okay. Well, these are going to be some fast fire questions that might help people, find out more about you, but 2, I think they're just kind of fun. I haven't thought these or written them down, so we're just going to wing it and see what happens. What's one of your favorite books?
Crucial Conversations. Helps with any relationship. It's those hard conversations that we all hate.
I like that. What fills your cup back up the most?
Family time. Just having some laughs, some good conversation, just feeling the love.
If you had to start over in business, what would you do different?
Build a better team faster. Always. That's always my number one thing.
Yeah. Nice. Sports, right? Back to sports. Like, it is a team game. Nice. Uh, if you had to describe yourself as a superhero, who would you be?
Oof. I don't watch all those superhero movies. That's one of the things I cut out. But I don't know, man. Maybe Batman. You know, fighting for betterment, and he's also got the that introverted side of him, I guess. So I could see
Nice.
that.
Okay. What's your superpower in business? Like, what has made you as successful as you are?
I would say the relationships that I built, that I'm in it for the long haul. I'm in it to provide value first, not asking first.
Nice.
That's earn me back tenfold what I put in.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that too. Give, 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 give. Uh, if someone is listening and isn't clear on their vision, what do you recommend they do to get started?
Read the book Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold. I think that's a great place to start. And then don't be afraid to have an accountability partner to work with someone. If hire a coach like have someone to guide them through that process. Having someone that is an expert, and hiring a coach is one of the best things that people can do. I know people try to maybe say, "Oh man, that's whatever it is, $250 an hour, $500 an hour." But again, it'll pay you back tenfold in your life, in your business. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself.
Yeah, I appreciate the plug. I agree with that. It was one of the scariest things for me to do, was to hire a coach. And man, the ROI is infinite, because it's really not about the coach. It's really about the player. Great one. We'll do two more. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Like Apple forever? Have you been Apple forever?
I've been Apple forever, just because I know my lady's like, I'm an Android person. I'm just I'm loyal partly. Once I have something that works, I'm just going to stick with it, unless it it really frustrates me. Then I would say, screw it, I'm going Android. But
nice. Okay. And what's one of the luxuries of having a successful business outside of the business arena that you are currently enjoying?
Well, it's where I live. That's the most important thing, because that provides me with such peace of mind. I'm 4 blocks from the beach, so I invested in my house, and so I can walk down, and as soon as I see the water, it just provides so much calm. And I walk to restaurants and everything, so that the lifestyle. And originally I bought this place to do as a flip, and then my financial advisor kept saying, when are you going to sell it? When are you going to sell it? And then I'm like, after a while, I'm like, I'm staying here. This is no amount of money that I can make will provide me with this state of mind. And I want to keep this state of mind, So, yeah.
Nice. How would you describe that state of mind? Is it focus? If you're by the water, is it still?
I'm a water sign, so it's very calming. It pulls me outside, probably 4 days a week. I'm by the strand or walking on the beach, so it's just very grounding. And it's just a very active community. So, it's not. I grew up in New Jersey, so it's too cold, too hot, too rainy, too this, too that. And so I just love the weather, and it keeps me healthy, and it's better for my mind.
Dude, I feel the same way. It's a luxury for sure. I'm also, maybe it's true for you, but I also work from home. So if I'm at home for work, home for play, home for all of it, this is the best thing to invest in, is the center point of everything. The Strand is a really cool spot, man. I love the Strand. The walkability, the bikeability, volleyball, beach, all that. Really, really cool. Okay. Where can people find you if they want to learn more, or check out any of your syndications, any of the things that you offer?
breakofdaycapital.com. My website has everything. You can sign up for our newsletter, investment resources, Check out the podcast where you've been a guest on as well. So head to the website, and you will also have the social media channels on there as well.
Gary's doing some cool stuff, man. But more importantly, I think what I appreciate about you is that every time I talk to you, you are a beacon of integration. Like, there are some people that just want to go and like, cool, I respect that. But I really favor people that are wise to integration with life, with relationships, with the long game, like all of that together, being rather holistic. So, dude, I'm so grateful for your time today. Thanks for sharing so much. We'll have to figure out how to get you like a Batman costume or something for Halloween.
I had a great time. So thanks for having me.